Hi friends, welcome to a new series called Styling with Happy Hot Home. The picture you see before you is a picture of our Christmas mantle styled for the holidays. As you can see, it's filled with greenery and stockings and garlands and snowflakes, and there's just so much decor on the mantle, and it just looks so beautiful. And it can be hard once the holidays are over and we take all of the decor off for the room still to feel cozy and the mantle to still feel warm. In this video, I'm going to show you how to style a mantle. I'm going to give you many examples of ways that I style a mantle and things that I think of when I'm putting something together. Very easy tips that can transfer over into your mantle. So I hope it's very helpful for you. And I'm also going to show you things not to do, things that take away from the style of the decor on top of the mantle. So stay tuned and let's get started. Hi friends, welcome back to Happy Hot Home. In my prior video, when I was undecorating the sunroom, I asked if you all would be interested in learning more about styling a fireplace mantle. And the response, a lot of you are interested. So here I am to show you what I do and the things that I think about when I'm styling a mantle. So during the holidays, when we put up garlands and lights and wreaths and stockings on our mantle, it just feels so full and it's so easy to fill a fireplace mantle. And when you take all of that stuff off, it feels very sparse. I know mine did. So I played around for quite a while until I got the look that I wanted. So the first thing that I recommend when you are looking at your mantle is that you need a very strong focal point for your mantle design. In my case, that is the very large oval mirror that you see. You have to have the focal point before you start anything. And it doesn't have to be an oval mirror. It can be a mirror that leans on top of the fireplace. It can be a large picture, but you do need that one focal point before you start anything. And a tip about the focal point, it has to be the right size. So our mantle is large. It's 8 feet long. The mirror is 5 feet, 5 feet circumference. So when you're choosing your focal point, whether it be a picture or whether it be a mirror that you're leaning or whether it be a mirror that you're hanging, such as mine, you want to make sure it is at least half a foot wide of the mantle. So in my instance, I would not have chosen something for the mirror that was less than 4 feet. Okay, my preference is to have it at least 2/3. So ours is 5 feet compared to 8 feet. So you want it at least 2/3 the size of the mantle. You don't want it so large where it covers the whole thing. You want it just to be perfectly centered in the middle, a very strong focal point. So that is the very first tip. Another thing to consider when you are picking a focal point for your mantle is consider the height of your ceilings. As you can see, we have tall arched ceilings, so I could have picked a mirror that goes even higher up, maybe like a rectangular mirror that leans on top of the fireplace. But if you don't have really high ceilings, you do need to take that into account. If you have lower ceilings, you probably want something that is a little more horizontal. But if you do have very tall ceilings, you can pick something that does reach further up into the ceiling. I was also very intentional when I hung our lighting that it did clearly show a reflection in the mirror. The lighting is actually hung rather low because I did want that very intentional reflection. So in essence, it's sort of another focal point to the whole fireplace design. So your eye is immediately drawn to the mirror, and it's immediately drawn to the lighting inside of the mirror. So that was a very intentional design. So the first way I'm going to show you how to style a mantle is in a very symmetrical design. I love symmetry. If you all know me, you know that I absolutely love symmetry. My eye is just drawn to that perfect balance of left and right. You can see it in this room with the windows on the side, the lamps on the side, the chairs on the side. I just love a very symmetrical design. Our whole pool house was designed around a very symmetrical design. What's on the left is on the right, and I just love it. It's a little bit more of a formal look and not as casual, but you know, it's just what my eye loves. So in this example, I started putting 2 ginger jars on the left and the right of the mantle. They're large ginger jars, but again, this is a large mantle. It's not super deep. I don't know, it's probably less than a foot deep, but it is long at 8 feet. So I am starting off with left and right, the exact same ginger jars, and starting off my symmetrical design. I'm going to add a piece, I'm going to add something in the middle, and then I'm going to talk about that. So in my symmetrical design here, I added a ginger jar full of florals. Florals, greenery, live plants, anything added to a mantle just always makes it look so much better and gives it color. I could take all of the florals out and just put the top of the ginger jar on, and that I think would be okay. But I do personally just love the warmth and the colors of the florals and what it does to the room. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. So I personally love the florals. If you notice, the center is taller than the left and the right ginger jar. That doesn't have to be the case. It can be shorter. It doesn't have to be taller. And I'll show you an example of something that is shorter where it still looks fine. Personally, I wanted to draw more of the attention into the center and the focal point and the very pretty florals. So I chose to make the centerpiece higher than the left and the right. So what I've done here is I added a shorter centerpiece. It is shorter than the 2 ginger jars on the left and the right. And I added a tray on the bottom, so now it sits on something and elevates the height. I mean, not a lot. It's, you know, maybe only probably less than an inch, but it just adds like another dimension, another layer. The advantage to it is you can see more of the chandelier, which I do like, but it works. So I guess my point in telling you this is that the center can be taller or shorter than the left and the right, whatever you choose, candles, sconces, topiaries, whatever. And taking the symmetrical design one step further, I just added in that second larger arrangement. So I still consider it a symmetrical design. I'm considering this whole arrangement sort of as one piece, with the ginger jars on the left and the right. But since my mantle is so large, I can get away with it. That is not something that you need to do on a smaller mantle. One piece, one centerpiece would be absolutely fine, but just wanted to show you an example of two of them together. All right, next I am going to go and show you an asymmetrical design. So here is an example of an asymmetrical design where I have two objects on the left and one on the right. When you do this, when you are aiming for an asymmetrical design, you want to make sure that it does feel balanced. You don't want to have, three large, big objects over here and one smaller object over there. It does need to look balanced. So you can see over here on the right, it is a very large, full, girthy arrangement. And the one here on the left is also rather full. You want to make sure that it does create a nice balance between the two. And you can group, I'm using florals because I have a lot of them, but obviously you don't need florals. You can group, any large object here, whether it be a huge candlestick with three smaller candlesticks or two smaller candlesticks, just kind of, grouped together. So that is this example. I'm going to change this arrangement out for another tall floral arrangement and let you see what that looks like too. So I changed the vase on the right side out to another tall floral arrangement. And you can see it still works. It's still a grouping of two and a grouping of one. I don't find the colors over here as visually appealing as the other one. I have, more whites and blushes over here on the left, so I preferred the look of the other arrangement. You kind of want to group objects that are sort of similar. You don't want them to be completely different. They can be different shapes, round, square, low, tall, boxes, books, but you do want them to look a little similar, so it does have an overall cohesive look. So I'm going to put the other one back because I think I like that a little bit better. I guess it would be also good to show you what not to do. So as you can see over here, this arrangement is just much too small for the size of the ones on the left. It's not balanced at all, and it just completely looks lonely and out of place sitting there because it's just not nearly wide or girthy enough. So that is a tip of what not to do and how important it is to have balance when you are doing an asymmetrical design. So in this example, I grouped three objects with one object, which can be done and looks okay. Personally, I prefer the look of two objects on the left and one on the right, but you can group three and one if you like. Again, just make sure that everything is balanced and that the left side doesn't feel much bigger than the right side. You need to balance the right side. So I'm back to two on the left and one on the right. And this is what just feels good to me. And I like the balance between the two. I like the colors, the coordination. It just looks very cohesive and intentional. All right, so I'm gonna try to go on to another design and maybe give you a few tips on what not to do. I want to talk a little bit about layering. That's the next mantle design that I'm going to talk about. Layering, design 101, we should always layer things. It always creates more dimension and just makes everything look better. But also, if you can see here, it's starting to look a little bit crowded. Trying to create a layered look here, with some candlesticks I'm bringing in another item. This fan belonged to my mom and it means a lot to me, so I wanted to put it in the design, and I was starting to create a little bit, of a layered look, and I just wanted to show you how it's starting to feel cluttered. Even though these candlesticks are just very thin little candlesticks, it just doesn't look right with the fan in the middle, and the candlesticks in front of the fan look fine, but just with the other two items, there's just too much stuff on the mantle, and it's just not looking right. So I'm going to continue to play around with it and come up with a layered look that is very pleasing to the eye. So here's another layered look. So I removed the large arrangement on the right and I moved the picture over to the right and still created a bit of a layered look with all the candles, and it looks better. You can see that did not look good when it was centered in front of the mirror. So this creates more of a balance between these two. It's not my favorite look, to be honest. I'm going to continue to play around with other pictures, but this is more of the concept that I was trying to get across, where still need to create some balance, but have some layers in between. So in this layered look that I'm working on, I'm trying to achieve the correct balance between the left and the right. As you can see, I layered some pictures and I layered the vase on a book. And over here, same thing, there's a picture behind the topiary and it's on a book, and I'm trying to achieve the perfect balance. This works. I don't feel like the balance is perfect. Again, for the size of the mantle and the size of this arrangement over here, I feel like this is just a little small. So I'm going to continue working on this and see what else I can come up with. Another thing, I'm sure you all are aware of the rule of 3 when designing. Things obviously look a lot better in odd numbers than they do in even numbers. So 1, 3, 5 looks a lot better than 2 and 4. So I always try to, in my mantle arrangement, make sure I have an odd number of elements, and that does include the mirror. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I do have an odd number of elements on there, so that is okay. So if I do take things away, I'm going to take 2 things away, or add 2 more, which would be 11. But okay, I'm going to continue to play around with this, and I'll be back. So in this layered look, I have changed out the topiaries over here on the right side and added candles. And if you notice, it does give some dimension. It's kind of hard to see from this far away. Let me get a little bit closer. So it is a larger candle and a smaller candle, and again, layered. So there is a layer in the back on the wall, the candlesticks are in the front, and they are layered on top of 2 books. And again, it's a cluster of 5, and this is a cluster of 5. So it works. In this, there is a large space in the middle. One of the things you do want to avoid is things just looking very lined up in a row. That never looks good. I can show you an example of that. I have some candlesticks. I can show you how they look lined up, but I'm going to continue to play around over here because this still isn't quite my favorite. It works, it's okay, but I'm going to continue to play around and see what I can come up with. Okay, friends, so I found a layered design that feels very balanced to me. Over on the left, we have the flower arrangement. We are layering 2 pictures in front of it, a vase on top of a book. That is 5 items. The mirror is another item, so that's 6. And then 2 topiaries and 1 is on top of a book. So that is altogether 9 items, and it feels very balanced to me. Balanced in terms of the items, the weight of the items, like the heftiness, and the color. You have to balance the color. The color is very important. So we have the greens over here playing into the greens in the picture and the green on the flower arrangement, and the whites, and that book is, the spine of it is pink. So that plays off of the colors in the floral arrangement. So when I talk about balance, I also mean balance in color and in weight between the left and the right. Okay, so I made one change. I changed out this picture right there. It's a little taller than the other one I had. I felt it was a little bit small for the size of the mantle. So this one just adds a little bit more height. So what do you all think? I want to give you an example. I have some candlesticks and I want to play around a little bit and show you what not to do, which is very, very common mistake and very easy to do. So hold on for that. In this example, I replaced the blush arrangement with just a very neutral arrangement with mostly vanilla colored flowers. So it's really the color tone still all is very cohesive. I just got rid of the pink. And you know, everything matches in with the green topiaries. I personally love color. I like a neutral palette in my home, but I love accentuating with color. I love, 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 love color. All colors. I don't think there's a color I don't like. So that is another example, but I still want to show you a layered look, not a layered look, but a lined up look of what not to do. I just have so many ideas. Sorry, I keep popping on with extra little tidbits here and showing you extra designs. I hope you don't mind. So here I replaced the arrangement on the left with the one that I used at the beginning of the video, which is very full with blushes and whites and creams, and even has a touch of black into it. And you can see how all the colors are just very, very cohesive. All the greens in the arrangement with the green and the topiary, and pulling in the pink from the book and the whites, and everything is just very color balanced. So I have these very large white candlesticks that I like to use in my decor, and they're big and chunky, you know, so they're a good size for the mantle. But this is an example of just all 5 of them lined up in a row. Lots of times our mantles, they're just not deep enough to create a lot of depth and to use objects that are very wide at the base. So that's why pictures are good, because they're thinner and you can layer them. But, you know, to try to layer these candles, I'm going to try to layer it a little bit and show you what it looks like. It looks better, but, you know, it's, in my opinion, it's still not optimal. So here in this example, I have created different dimensions. So I have these little bump outs right here on the mantle. So I was able to move this one forward and push this one back and move this one forward to create, you know, a V and a little bit more of a dimension. And same over here, just create them. I think you're getting a glare. But same over there. So it looks better. Still not my optimal design, just having 5 very like objects lined up in a row, even though it does look better when you do stagger them dimensionally, but it's still not my favorite look. But it's a look, and it certainly can be done, and certainly can be doable, and works. Okay, so I am back to my original design that I started with. 2 ginger jars, a very symmetrical design, and floral arrangements right in the middle. I did want to show you, I added in like 6 candlesticks. They are absolutely not necessary. I think one of the biggest mistakes is that we feel we have to fill in all empty spaces. And sometimes it's okay, but it's not necessary. It looks perfectly fine without all the candlesticks. If anything, the way I had it originally, I had a little bit of garland on top of the mantle, which was very flat. And that looked okay with some little votive candles. but these, which are just too high and just look a little unnecessary, absolutely not needed. So I hope that's a helpful tip for you. So here it is without the candlesticks. Looks perfectly fine. I am going to add the little greenery that I had in originally. Sorry, I've got a little frog in my throat. I am going to add that in to show you how that looks, but again, not necessary. And here we are. This is where we started off. This was my original design. And I did add in a little bit of faux juniper on the bottom with a few candles, but you notice that it's very, very low. Nothing, not trying to take away from any of the very large ginger jars. I kept everything very low, so a little bit of garland is perfectly okay to add some color. Add some more greenery, some green to the mantle, but not necessary. I'm a firm believer of less is more. I believe that the pieces you use should be impactful. Pick them wisely. Picking pieces that are purposeful. I got 3 P's there. Picking pieces that are purposeful will give you a lot better design than just trying to throw in little knickknacks here and there to fill the space. So I hope you all found that very helpful. I love hearing from you. Send me more comments on things that you would like to see, and I will do my best to try to get whatever you need out to you. I wish you all a good day, and I'll see you next time. I'm going to put this to a little bit of music.